Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to Europa Universalis 5 as we're playing as the Kingdom of England. So in today's episode we're going to have a period of peace before we start up the next and perhaps last war against France, and perhaps we might actually have these rebellions fire. We're going to stop focusing on putting down the rebellions since, we're not in conflict at the moment, and what we really need to do to help with these is to integrate these provinces, which we've been working on one at a time. But if we put both of our cabinet members on it, we can get it done a little bit quicker. I think it'd really help to get Paris done. So let's go ahead and start working on that. They're going to make pretty good progress here. And we've already made a little bit of progress with that area. We also have this parliament in session. That's the expand armories. So with the parliament passed, let's go ahead and get some buildings constructed, just whatever's gonna be profitable here. So we got the tools guild, we'll do the spinners guild as well. But for something a little bit different, let's get the gunsmith, because we can earn a lot of money if we construct these, and maybe have a new location building something. I know it's not the most profitable. Yeah, just trying to spread out our construction a little bit. So yeah, we'll get the gunsmith. In fact, we'll get 2 of those in London. And then I think that's good for the regular buildings. Now let's get the RGOs started up. Yeah, investing a lot of money into our economy right now so that we can make this peaceful period as profitable as possible. So yeah, just marrying all these characters as they come of age, just to whoever's youngest. And has resulted in us having a massive court. We have a lot of different options for whenever we want to hire generals. That's how we got the really good general that we currently have. Yeah, he's our great nephew. So these are his parents. So by doing that, you get a lot of different options. So it's easier to find good generals and admirals and cabinet members. So we're going to vent here about Sir John Holland. Having served in several military campaigns as Justice of the Peace and High Sheriff in his home county of Herefordshire, Sir John Holland has a vast set of skills and experience at his disposal. We ought to recruit him to lead our armed forces despite his heretic beliefs. So we can put him to good use. And he'd make a fantastic general. Look at those stats. I don't know if these are better than our current general. And this is a ruler trait, not a general trait. So I want it to affect his army. We can instead say he is misguided and not welcome. That will appease the clergy. Or have him serve in another capacity, and he'll be unsuited for naval or army command. We'll get 5 prestige, and then we can still use him like in our cabinet or something like that. You know what, we're gonna keep him as a general. We'll take a look and see if he's better than our current general. So 84, 87, 100. Yeah, I really don't think he's gonna be better than him. He's really close. They both have the high military ability, but yeah, he's maybe somebody we'd want to use for our secondary army. But not better than the guy that we got, and we got him just from breeding. He kind of just gets lucky with that, because it is very much a matter of luck. Well, we don't have many young ladies left to marry off here. And I have a lot of difficulty, raising up children that are decent. You can do the expensive education, and a lot of times it's not enough. Really, they gotta have that, those really good traits, like I forgot what it's called, like brilliant, talented or something like that. If you get lucky with that and you do the expensive education, then sometimes you can get some decent characters. But honestly, it just seems really difficult to raise them naturally. Now, to be clear, I do think it should be difficult to get really good characters. I guess we can marry her, Elizabeth Percy, off to Sir John Holland, even if he is a heretic. We got another event about the Lollard movement. Wycliffe's Bible. A cornerstone of the Lollardy movement is the ability to be able to read and understand the teachings of the Bible. With English being the common tongue, it makes sense to have the word of our Lord translated to aid Christian men in studying the gospel. What is going on with Wycliffe's beard? Okay, that looks kind of strange. I assume that's like a bug. How far has this spread? Just kind of curious which locations have adopted it, since we do have the 232,000 pops. So we can either attempt to publish it. This will give us a magnum opus work of art, or we can oppose it. That will please the clergy, but the Lollards will consider it a betrayal. So reducing their opinion. And that's the one we're going to do. we're good Catholics here in England, at least for now. Might change when the Reformation comes around. Our nephew Richard has come of age. He's the son of Edmund. And we're going to arrange a royal marriage for him with Castile. So Isabel here, she's a little bit older, 28. So not somebody who would want to arrange a marriage for like our heir. But she's actually second in line for the throne right now. So like if something was to happen to her sister, who is currently the heir, then maybe it might result in the Plantagenet dynasty inheriting Castile. So you can do the assassinations in this game. You do get some nasty penalties for doing it, but I'm kind of considering doing it anyways. We'll have to start by getting the spy network. But we've just used our diplomat, so we actually are going to invest further in diplomatic spending just so we can get this next diplomat a little bit quicker. Unfortunately, the game just crashed again. I'm hoping that the patch that downloaded today isn't another unstable one that results in a bunch of crashes. We already played through, get us back to where I was at, because I think I lost a few months there. We got this event here, University of Yarmouth. And so we've already seen this once before, and it actually involves St. Omer, but on the other way. So that's how we got the university there. So we're going to go with this option again, just to get the university building in another one of our towns. And this time it'll be in Yarmouth. We'll piss off our clergy, but they'll be alright. Alright, so I've been building up some armories, as you can see here. Also been working on getting roads around some of our territory. And what we're going to be doing is upgrading our cavalry from the hobblers to the heavy cavalrymen. So we researched those a while ago, but I never actually upgraded them. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then we'll see where our manpower stands and if we want to get any more units built up. We also have some money and about to have this second diplomat so that we can send off. A lot of people just died there. So we can give out more territory here to our subjects. So I've been waiting to do this. Also got the spy network set up in Castile, so that's now being built up. Yeah, let's go ahead and sell this location over to them for 125 ducats. And then we're also going to sell these guys a location. We're going to sell them this one right here. So it looks like they're kind of broke, so we're not going to get much, but we'll just take it. Because really we're just trying to give this out to them anyways. Because we don't have any control over that territory. And we do have some money to spend, so we'll get some construction started up. But I want to show you guys where we're earning our money from when it comes to diplomacy from our subjects. We're getting almost 40 ducats per month. 12.76 of that is coming from Normandy, 8.13 from Brittany. Aquitaine's bringing almost as much there. That's from Wales. And of course there's our tributary, which we're getting that additional tribute from them as well. Yeah, that's where we're getting all that money from. So I think that's pretty good. Got a lot of stuff building in London. And now let's get some more of the RGOs. Though not earning as much from these as we used to. All the most profitable ones we've already constructed, unfortunately. So we're doing pretty good when it comes to our manpower growth. So we're going to build some additional troops. We're currently sitting at 1550. We definitely want to get more artillery for sieges. So get a few of those constructed. And then we should get some additional infantry. Now between the men-at-arms and the handgunners, I don't really see the point on getting the handgunners. Those require the additional good of firearms. Now I think we have started building up our firearm industry. I think mostly to trade, so we could provide that good for them, but I just don't think that they're worth it. They cost more money, they eat more food, and when you look at their overall stats, their combat speed is lower than the men-at-arms. And yes, they get the bonus to the morale damage done, but the men-at-arms gets the bonus to strength damage taken. Basically, these guys are going to take less casualties, while the handgunners just force your enemy to retreat faster. Helps you win battles, but what really matters is killing the enemy's troops. And so I think that the men-at-arms are far better, because manpower is what really matters. So we're going to go with the men-at-arms and probably not even use the handgunners. So we'll get a few of these constructed, pretty much as many as we can get. So with those units recruited, we have 2,650 for our regular army. So I think we will go ahead and let's get more artillery. What we really want this for is for those sieges. So we'll get a few of these. And then I think we should be pretty good. Maybe we'll do one more armory as well, because we do have a little bit of extra money here. So yeah, we'll get another armory, just make sure that we have good manpower gain. So we finished up research of the dock. So we're going to want to construct those in all of our locations where we can. So basically the urban coastal locations. This is going to dramatically increase the number of sailors that we have, which will be helpful since remember we're currently researching the heavy ships. And so as soon as we get that research, we're going to want to build a bunch of those. So these locations will now be able to build 2 ships at a time. And then of course it gives us that harbor capacity, which is very useful as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and build them. I mean, we're going to want to get them in every location if we have the money. So we're just short on the one for Yarmouth. It costs us 72. So 1 month should allow us to then get that last one. All right, so the docks do take a while for us to get those done. But again, they're going to be incredibly helpful, and it's going to make sure that we have the sailors that we need in order to get a new fleet built up of heavy ships. So here in January 1395, we can call another parliament. And since the war against the French is going to be happening soon, 1396, so a year and a half from now, I think we should do one of the noble ones so that we know that we can get that done. So let's do the fun farming estate. Since we'll start out at the 68.5%, and then we're going to ask for the larger levies as we usually do. That'll give us the 3 years of additional levies. And with these options here, I do not see us getting this passed. I mean, maybe if we get, a favorable event that increases it. Honestly, we're probably not going to be able to get that done. I know we're saving up the money for the heavy ships, but I think we are going to get a couple more cab units, the heavy cab. So let's get 2 more of those. We'll build them up here. Just spread out where units are coming from. We got a Parliament event, a life in London, and we can either lose money or Parliament support. We're going to go with that since, yeah, we're clearly not going to be able to get this passed. Then we have some saints performing miracles. So we can either gain stability or estate satisfaction for the clergy. Well, our stability is already really high at 96, so I say let's make the clergy happier in order to speed up our research. If we looked at the current estate satisfaction, it's 82.79%, granting us that 16.39% bonus to the monthly research progress. Here's where the Lord stands, the burghers, and even the commoners are somewhat happy. At this event about the curious case of Sir Owain. He's a prominent Welsh noble, lawyer, and military commander. He's been branded a traitor by a neighboring English baron for failing to levy troops for service. Formerly known as Sir Owain, he claims to have personally written to His Majesty to plead his case. He has also appealed to the law courts who have refused to see him. So the historical option is to refuse to read the letter. He'll become a disloyal officer, so he can't lead armies or navies. Doesn't really cause an issue for us because we don't want him leading any armies or navies. He's not very good. Our lords will become more satisfied, and he'll appeal to the Welsh Assembly. The Principality of Wales will actually lose opinion with us, or we can overrule the courts, losing legitimacy and pissing off the lords. We're gonna go with this option. We'll see what happens when he appeals to the courts, and that's just those 2 cab units that are raised up, which are gonna go join our main army and get us up to 2950. So we have almost 3,000 troops in our regular army, and it seems that did result in a rebellion. Unfortunately, Edmund also just died, so he was in our cabinet, our younger brother. So we're gonna have to get him replaced. But yeah, we could assist the Welsh in this rebellion, since I mean we kind of caused it with the Prince Owain character. So yeah, maybe we'll help them out. Let's see if we can't join that. But first, let's replace that member of the cabinet. So I don't think we have anybody in the Crown Estate who'd be really all that good. Yeah, we have Richard and Richard, so our son and our nephew. They're not fantastic. I'd prefer to have somebody skilled here since we got a lot of important tasks that we have them assigned to. Richard of Grey would probably be a better commander. Yeah, because his other skills are so high. John Holland, who we talked about having our commander, he might be the one we want to put into the cabinet, even if he is a lawlord. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Might get some events about that too. You know, having somebody of a different religion in your cabinet. Let's see if we can join the civil war here. I want to say that there might be like a time limit on when you can join. Okay, so intervene in civil war. Yeah, it's got to be 6 months. So we won't be able to do it just yet. There is the intervene in war though, so I guess you could do that. Okay, so I wonder why that's different. Okay, yeah, I guess we can do the intervene in war. So we'll do it that way. Make sure that he wins. There's not a lot of troops. We could just use our regular army for this, but I don't think we're gonna do that, guys. I think we're gonna use levies to defeat him, so that our regular army can continue to train up, get in that experience, and also so we're not using our manpower for this when we know that the war with France is gonna be kicking up here fairly soon. So I think it makes more sense to just go ahead and raise the levies up, even if that does cause some problems with your economy. Yeah, this shouldn't be too difficult of a war. It's just the north, though. We're not worried about that. Alright, so yeah, we'll get these troops raised up. Would have been like, I don't know, 2 separate armies. I don't even know if they have any fortifications that we have to siege. Doesn't look like it. So we have our 2 armies formed up. Just need to give them some generals. And we're going to try and get this Richard of Grey trained up. Basically get him a commander trait, see what that is. See if he gets a good one. We're also going to put this young warpath in charge. So we're raising up a new crop of generals. All right, so it looks like the enemy army has already been destroyed. Okay, so I was going to use one of these for fighting battle, but yeah, the Brittany has come, and thus doesn't look like we're going to do any battles. We're just going to be doing the sieges. I think it was necessary for us to come and assist them. Looks like we can't go through this territory here, so the subjects of our subjects it's causing an issue. So we'll just have to bring the fleet over here. It's fine. And we probably didn't even need to raise our own troops up. Just coming into the war and then all of our subjects joining was probably enough. So we just got some support in Parliament, but not enough to bother trying to increase any further. And our merchants just got some trade advantage in London. And we finished up the research of our first heavy ships. So that means we need to select some additional text to research, and we have to build those new heavy ships. So we're already working on the standardized coins, and you know what? I think we're gonna get all 3 of these here, just since they're dead ends, they don't go anywhere. So let's get all 3 of them, which we'll start with. Yeah, we'll start with the counting houses. We'll build those in all of our towns and cities, and then we'll get bureaucracy to increase centralization, and then we'll get the rag paper production method. This might be a cheaper way for us to make the paper using the lumber and the cloth. And then we'll get the distant markets, maritime presence, get that increased. The pound locks is pretty useful. Let's first get that increased market attraction in all of our, in all of our markets, and then we'll get the pound locks here. We'll eventually want to get the hulks, since those are better transport ships, but it's not a priority. I think we might get some other stuff first. But yeah, this is good for now, guys. So let's go and start getting some ships constructed. So we'll build these to the fleet, and these are going to be our heavy ships. They cost 200 sellers, so we're not going to be able to build many of these. They're overall pretty expensive. I guess we can build 2 there, and that's it. We can get 3 heavy ships. Now I know this will result in us having a negative sellers. Remember, we have all these docks being built, so they'll be done before the heavy ships are actually constructed. And we actually did end up engaging their army here. So I'm glad I sent this one, since that was the one that was better designed. Richard of Grey did get the defensive planner, so he's pretty solid now, because he has that increased military tactics. I don't know if he's better than our other guy. We'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, we're going to occupy this location. Remember, for the civil wars, which I guess we've never done a civil war in this Let's Play, but when you do the civil wars, when you occupy the location, it just flips right over to the other side. You know, I'm not entirely sure why we can't move into any of these locations. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, I thought it was we couldn't move through the territory of our subjects, which would have been strange because I don't think that's usually the case, but I was just making an assumption there since clearly couldn't go over to those locations. But that's not it. So I have to move them over here instead. Take over these locations. Of course, he failed to get our parliament issue passed. And now that we've conquered that location, all this is done, so we can just move over to here. Since again, we can't go over to these. I'm not entirely sure how we're supposed to conquer those. So these guys are going to go over to here and get that conquered. It looks like we didn't have to conquer those. So just taking over their capital region was enough. So let's go and disband all of our army levies and then bring our fleet back over here. So we finally finished integrating that one location. That took a really long time. And we might want to start working on suppressing rebels again, guys, because we're going to be going to war soon. I was hoping we can wrap these rebellions up. It looks like it's starting to die down a little bit. You know, let's go ahead and do the rebel crackdown again so that we can focus on the upcoming conflict. So we'll suppress the low Franconian patriots there. We have one location left to sell over here, just this one. We've already sold the rest of those, so let's go ahead and contact them. Probably not going to have much money because it wasn't that long ago that I sold them one of those locations. Yeah, they only have the 9, but that's fine. At least we got something out of it. And so that's what the situation now looks like. We've strengthened these 2 subjects, and that means they will have additional troops when we fight. So that should help. You know, if we looked at Normandy, they have almost 12,000. Brittany has almost 11,000. Of course, we got Aquitaine, but they're like 4,300. And so, yeah, our subjects are a lot more powerful. We've been taking them from the French, so this war should be a bit easier. We do need to increase our diplomatic spending, because we're not going to have a diplomat in time for the war. We're going to keep the fort maintenance on since the war's going to be starting here in a few months, but we will turn down the army maintenance just to make a little bit of money here. Let's reduce the taxes for the burghers as well, and we can get some stuff constructing. So I already got another armory being worked on, and if we have the books, I think we should work on some additional libraries. You know, in our key towns. Yeah, maybe we went over here in York. We'll just get as many as we can. I guess it makes sense to have one in Oxford and Cambridge. They gotta have libraries, right? I'll just get them in all our locations, and then we know that books are gonna become incredibly expensive once those are done. So with our next little shot of money, we're gonna want to improve the book industry. It seems our lords are allying with a foreign power, the French, of all countries. So we can say they will pay for their treachery. We'll lose some satisfaction with them and lose opinion with France, or we can lose legitimacy. I think we should just go with that option, because we would not be okay with them doing that. And unfortunately, they discovered our spy here. All right, that's a real shame. So that puts us down to 75, and it'll slowly start ticking down until we get another spy established. And we won't be able to do that until March of 1397. So it's a whole year cooldown before you can start that back up. So our truce has expired. Before we start this war, though, we're going to get those scriptoriums. So just get them spread out a little bit. So we get I don't know, about 4 of those in 3 separate locations. And yeah, we can go ahead and declare war on France. Let's see if we can't finish up the 100 Years' War. So Castile will be joining this. I could attempt to look for allies, but the problem is we only have the 1 diplomat. Let me just see if anybody would even be willing to ally us. Of course, the biggest issue with allies is that they probably wouldn't support us in this conflict. So just say that we ally with Savoy or Norway, which, as far as who has the higher number of troops, 4,600 for Savoy. Norway has 5,600, but those need to be transported across the sea, so Savoy would be a better ally. But even if we do this, they probably wouldn't actually assist us in the war. I mean, I could try. That's what we'll do. We'll try and ally with them, and then we'll just have to wait. It's not very long. We're talking about a month to wait in order to declare war. And France just joined a coalition against us, so that's an unfortunate part of us waiting there. But it won't result in them being pulled in. But of course, the alliance is irrelevant because they won't join anyways, even if you promise them land. It's as I expected. We're gonna do the claims on a province. That's for Aquitaine. I don't even know if we'll actually go for that in the treaty. But yeah, let's go and declare war. All right, so we're once again at war with the French. Let's go ahead and get all of our levies raised up, which we can get a lot more this time, 48,000. So quite a bit more levies than we had in the last war, 114 for the ship levies. Okay, so we'll have a lot of those. We haven't got our heavy ships constructed just yet, so we won't have those in the war. And the other two ships that we built in London aren't listed here because they're currently raising up the naval levies. Alright, so get these troops raised up. I'll get them assembled and organized, and then we'll be starting up the war again. Alright, so we have our army organized, and our formations arranged. We got the cav on the flanks, and men-at-arms here in the center, longbowmen and field levies spread throughout all three of them. And then down here in the reserves, we have the camp followers and our artillery. So hopefully those will take less damage. As for our commander, I did switch him out. Richard of Grey is going to be leading the main army because while his diplomatic ability is not quite as high, his admin ability is actually higher than de Barcelona's. They both have the high military ability though. And more importantly, this is the main reason why I switched him out, is he's got Glory Seeker, while Richard of Grey has that defensive planner, increasing the military tactics. And so we want him in charge of our larger army, the Royal Army. And let's go ahead and get them on the ships. We should bring these guys over here rather than bringing the fleet out, and get them on the ships as well. So that's going to be our smaller army, and I suppose we'll probably avoid fighting in Aquitaine again until we get Castile out of the war. Eventually we'll want to go over there, but with having two armies over here, this will allow us to do sieges. So we'll have one army for roaming around fighting their armies, which will be the Royal Army, and then the other army would be doing sieges. Now I do have artillery in both so that they can both do sieges. Maybe I should have put more artillery in the other one, considering the fact that it's going to be the sieging army. I think we should focus on Flanders first. So I'm going to wipe out their army and then attack their fortifications. The Royal Army is going to engage the rest of our enemy armies. So let's go and march down here. See if we can't get that 4,000 destroyed, as well as the 5,000 here. We'll also want to make sure that these armies can be attached to. And then the fleets, because again, they always turn this off, we want to make sure that's fixed. And let me see where we want to send the fleets. Seeing any enemy naval activities, yeah, we'll just go over here to Flanders and blockade them, since we'll be doing that siege there soon. I should show you guys the military stances for our subjects. So everybody across the sea is set to aggressive. If they can raise troops up and bring them over here, then they will. And then we have the more powerful subjects set to defensive for now. After we destroy all the enemy armies, maybe we can set them on aggressive. And then the ones with smaller armies are set to supportive. So see if they won't attach to our armies, since I think they'll be a little bit more useful in that way. Let's go over here, since it looks like they're moving this way. And then this army, looks like Flanders has gotten past us, but that's okay, because we're just going to go ahead and focus on getting that siege done, guys. I really want to get these sieges done early. And let's go ahead and wipe out this army here. 7,100 that will get engaged, and should be able to destroy those fairly easily. And it looks like Flanders has sent their fleet out, so we got those ships destroyed. Or forced them to retreat. It looks like we had sunk them. And we lost 726, they lost 3,000. Alright, excellent. So we'll engage the 373 there. Get them wiped out. Looks like they retreated before the battle was actually fully over. Alright, let's see if we can't engage the 9,400 now. So again, this should be an easy battle, though the French are coming with 20,000, but they didn't assist. They really ought to have. And of course, Savoy broke that alliance. I don't know, man. I just feel like allies aren't working at all in this version of the game, unfortunately. So we're doing the siege now. And we're just going to let our army do that. And also don't have to worry about keeping the ships there for their supply, since, this is a neighboring location. So we lost 1,000, they lost 3,000. More than I would have liked to have lost there. Now we need to get the French army engaged, so we're going to shadow them until we can catch them. And hopefully fight them on good defensive ground. And I'm sure Aquitaine is going to quickly become a mess here. Not going to be a whole lot we can do, though. Brittany is going to be able to assist. And consider the fact that they can go down there and help Aquitaine out. So the French army actually split up for some reason. And so now we'll be able to engage 4,000 of them. The rest of the army marched down this way. I assume they're going over to the Aquitaine front. There's also been an invasion over here, so maybe that's what they're trying to deal with. So we lost 635, killed 1,800. And I did want to show the situation here in the siege, why it's progressing so fast. So we're getting the +1 from the artillery impact. They're also not getting the -1 that they would get if we didn't have them blockaded. And then there's a +1 because there's a breach already. So this is going to progress much faster. So here in just a couple days, we'll get our first heavy ships constructed. Got 2 of those done. And they'll make their way over to our fleet, or they should. Looks like they are not. I thought we had built them from the fleet. Maybe we didn't. So let's go and move those over there now. I also started up the construction of a couple other heavy ships. So we'll go look at that in a minute. Let's first get these all merged. So we finished that siege, which did force out Flanders' fleet, allowed us to get them destroyed. I don't know if any of our ships have taken any damage here. There's been a few. It looks like we captured these 2 galleys. So rather than send the entire fleet to repair, let's just send the ones that are damaged and let those ones get their repairing done. And we'll just put them over here in Dover, I suppose. And then let's go and attack Flanders' army. I got 2,300 dudes there. The Royal Army is doing that occupation. So once we finish this up, I think we might go after their next fortification. And just try and get Flanders completely conquered. So we don't have to worry about them anymore. You know, raising troops up and attacking us from this side. For now, let's bring them over here. See if we can find the French or Castilian navies. And once we finish this occupation, we'll wipe out these couple of armies here. And then, like I said, I think we're going to do a siege with the Royal Army. We could go after the War Goal, because we haven't taken that yet. And they're getting the taking war score. So it would make sense to go after that, which I think is this location here. So we'd have to go get that taken over. And it would be good to send the Royal Army to this front, considering the fact that that's where the largest army we've seen yet is located. So let's go after this 2,000 man army, see if we can't get there before they finish up their occupation. And to the surprise of nobody, Edward IV has just died. I say it's nobody's surprise here because he was 66 years old. He actually lived a lot longer than I was expecting. These were the bonuses he was granting us, and a penalty, I suppose. And now we have a new king. So he's Richard II. That's what that means. It's just the Highland spelling and pronunciation. So we'll have to see what traits he gets. He's not very impressive. Very average overall. So I thought Edward wasn't great, and he's even worse. He is 38 years old, though, so maybe with the next parliament, we'll see if we can't increase his skills slightly. 3 points in each. It'd help. I think we've already arranged a marriage for his son and heir, and that's Thomas. So he's married to Joana de Barcelona. She's 27 years old, so a little bit older than him. Yeah, hopefully they have some children soon, because thus far they have not. But she's from Aragon, so I was trying to improve the opinion with them. And we're just doing all the ransoms because, first of all, get you the money, but also reducing your antagonism, I think is worth it. I did forget to increase the garrison over here, by the way. So hopefully nobody attacks that before we're able to finish up this siege. If it doesn't take too long. If anybody goes over there to do the siege, I would probably attack them because I want to make sure we don't lose that. All right, so our army has finally arrived. We're gonna put the fleet over here to blockade the little bit of coastline the French have on this side. We've taken out a lot of their coastline. Obviously, they still have the part here off the Mediterranean. So yeah, the army has arrived. Let's go and attack this 11,000 man army. One thing I've been meaning to address in these wars is something that a lot of people have been asking about. When are we going to claim the French throne? Well, one interesting thing about the 100 Years' War is that if you don't do the claiming of France's throne, before that CB expires, you know, the one that you get when the 100 Years War begins, if you don't use it in that war, then it seems like it expires. So I don't think that's working the way it's supposed to. However, we can still, you know, end the 100 Years War through here, because once we take those 11 locations that we need, we'll be finishing up the 100 Years War situation. But I want to show you guys that it's not an option. It's nowhere in here. And that's where it would be. You know, there's, you know, other country treaties here, but this is just if we wanted to make them like a dominion or a vassal, which as you can see, it's an extremely high peace cost. So basically, it's not an option for us to do. And like I said, if you do it in that first war, then the French just rebel against you. That's been my experience anyways. And it's just really hard to keep them down that way. So yeah, I just like to pick them apart. I think this is the better way, and take it all and, you know, add it to your own empire rather than have a, you know, rather than have it be a personal union. All right, so it looks like we did take a lot of losses there, 1,300. So, you know, obviously killed a lot more than we lost. I mean, those are good kill-death ratios, but I always try and take as few casualties as possible. So that's the only army here. Okay, so there was a couple when we headed over here, but now they're all gone. All right, so we need to go after the war goal now. So let's head over there and we'll do that siege. All right, so with the siege successful, let's go ahead and make sure this time that we refill the garrison. We'll attack over here. You can see that they did attempt to siege us down. They just started it though, and they didn't assault it. And we'll also want to refill the garrison here. And so both of these locations will not have the 250 men. And let's go back into our own territory so we can start making use of that manpower to restore the losses to our regular armies. You know, the losses that we took when we refilled those garrisons. Let's go ahead and do the marriage for this character. Isn't this the same name as our son's spouse? And we'll probably stay over here unless there's enemy armies that are close, which there's not. Because we're going to do this last siege once we restore our losses there. Alright, so we've taken over the war goal. Let's go ahead and refill the garrison there. And it looks like this army of 241 is going to attack. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. So we've got a few armies dancing around us. Definitely a threat. Let's return to our own territory. Restore the losses we just took. Got some armories building. And there's an army of 19,000 that we need to get wiped out. I was hoping to engage them here since this is our fortification, so we would have got the defensive bonuses. But unfortunately, it looks like they're going to escape us. We'll see if we can't chase them down. And then let's go ahead and begin the siege over here. We'll have to first attack Flanders, their army, which looks like they're attempting to leave here. So we'll be engaging them first, getting them wiped out, and then starting the siege because we have refilled all of our losses. Let's go and dip back over to the Royal Army. Looks like they're going to stay there. So that's great news because not only do we have a stronger army, you know, we have more troops, higher morale, better quality, but we'll get the train bonuses here because this is a great location with the woods there. And I think it also gets the river bonus. So this is a really good place for us to fight. It's been a while since we watched a battle. I don't think we've looked at one since we got the artillery. So that creates a new phase of combat, the bombard phase. So this is a period of combat that's exclusive to just the artillery. So it lets them fire on the enemy and they can't fight back. Now our artillery is the early type, so they don't do a lot of damage, but still any assistance you can get, and I don't think they have any artillery of their own. Yeah, I'm not seeing any here, just the infantry and their knights. Looking at the leaders, looks like our leader is pretty much better at everything outside of the diplomacy skill. So we do have higher discipline. However, we no longer have the advantage in military tactics. So they were able to get the gunpowder technology. That advancement is the reason why our tactics were higher than France's in the last war, but they now have it. And because they have more points in quality, they actually have higher tactics than we do. They also have the higher morale just slightly. So they have some advantages over us. You know, we just have the little bit of extra discipline there. However, of course, they have the terrain penalties from the river crossing and the woods. And so this is definitely going to go in our favor. Obviously, we have the numbers too. So that alone is going to ensure that we win this battle. But this should go pretty far against them. You can see that our numbers across all sides are pretty similar. Have lots of characters coming of age right now, and that is actually our child. So we need to arrange a marriage for her, which we do finally have a diplomat available. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Let's finish up this battle here where we lost 1,300 and they lost almost 5,000. So not bad at all. While we're over here, I think we should do another siege. We're going to siege this fortification. Get that done, since I don't know if any of our subjects would do it. We could instead engage the Castilian forces. You know, I think we might do that because they're trying to siege this location down, and we'll get the bonus. There's no river bonus, but there is the woods one. So we need to arrange a marriage for our daughter. We're going to get rid of the age range, just sort this by their great power score. So we could do a marriage with Austria. And the reason why this county is so high, despite the fact that it's really just a county, is because they're actually the emperor. And this is their heir. You know, I think we're going to do Austria. So let's go and arrange that marriage. He's 27 years old. We finish up the research for the counting house. So we're going to want to get some of those constructed. That's going to be here in the government buildings. And we want to build these everywhere, but we can't afford it right now. It's 313. Could try and reduce the cost of masonry, maybe even glass, in order to cheapen that a little bit. But yeah, it's basically out of reach at the moment. So our army has arrived and is ready to attack Castile and stop their progress on the siege. So it's going to be 30,000 against 20,000. And we can take a look at how we compare with them. Well, that's interesting. They have a bunch of penalties here. So there's the river, there's the woods, and there's is this like a hill or something? Oh no, it's wetlands. So this is a fantastic place to build a fortification. We have the discipline, the military tactics. They do not have that advancement yet, so we have that bonus. They do have more morale than us though. Of course, we have the numbers here. So this should go pretty well for us. So we lost about 1,500 while they lost 5,500. All right, so that went very, very well. And I guess we'll help out with this siege as well. Get rid of that army. It looks like they're going to just take off. Well, I suppose that makes sense. So that was the head of our cabinet that just died. So we need to replace him. And we don't have any really good choices. We're going to sort this by ability. From our crown, we're gonna have to go with Richard, our first cousin. He's the best option. I guess we could sort it by military ability and then have the best crown character. Yeah, it's Richard. Okay, so we're gonna put him in place, and we don't have the money to promote him to the head of cabinet. We're definitely going to do that though to make sure we can get that crown power as high as possible. We need to let our morale increase. That's 3,700 men just took off. And we keep getting these insults from Alba. I guess we'll take the CB and maybe we'll go to war with them. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and attack across, and it looks like the Castilian force has stayed there. And so their morale is pretty low. That means we won't be able to kill as many of them before they retreat, but it should be a fairly easy battle here. And hopefully we can get a lot of them killed. So 2,500 are dead. We only lost 240 of our own. And let's go and march up here to assist. When I say assist with that, it'll probably be done by the time we get up there. So we can get there in time to assist in the battle, but we did attack that army there and wiped out some of their troops. We need to relieve this siege now. Make sure they're not able to take that location back. As far as how things are going, you know, they're interestingly still getting the defender ticking despite the fact that we have their location here. I think that's because when they started the siege up, it stopped these locations from being occupied. And so hopefully once we deal with that army there, that should fix the situation. So we got some CVs on Portugal and Spain. Now let's go ahead and arrange a marriage. Well, maybe not. So not really many characters. I guess we do this Eleanor Percy. Running out of ladies in our court. Alright, so we finally finished this siege up over here. 200 days. So I mean, we're doing the sieges much quicker than we did before, you know, now that we have the artillery assisting us. So we're going to want to take this last location so that Flanders can no longer raise up any more levies. And once we have that occupied, then we can battle their fleet. We have now 91 ships. We're eventually going to want to split these. Maybe after we get a couple more of these heavy ships constructed, split the fleet into two. Because, for example, like we have a siege over here that we're not supporting them in, that we could be helping. Though I don't know if the fleet was split, that they would be enough to get you that bonus from having it blockaded. We did destroy those ships. All right, excellent. So Flanders is now done with, guys. So let's bring our troops back into our own territory, and then this fleet, I don't think anybody's damaged, is going to come over here and assist us with the blockade. Because we're attempting to occupy this location now. We now have the war goal, and so now the war score is 56%. We've killed 64,000 of them, though our side has also lost a considerable number. Not many of those were our own. Our side has also lost a lot of ships, but again, I think these are our subjects. But they currently have 66,000 men, while we have 69,000. So we already have more troops than they do, and that's with Castile in the war, which they're still not willing to do a separate peace just yet. But eventually they're going to want to get out of this conflict, and then that's going to make it so much easier to get this wrapped up. All right, so this siege was successful, so we'll have the entire coastline here taken out, and we need to relieve this siege so that make sure that they don't take the war goal back. And then we also have a siege over here of Orleans. And it looks like we just improved relations with the Kingdom of Alba. 15,000 French troops over here. We have to hope they don't attack us, especially because there's another 19,000 right here. All right, so this army, the second army, could be in danger at the moment because we'd also get the penalty there. Let's go ahead and get this guy married off, though I think we don't have many ladies available. There's one, or two actually, she's 20. So we have two. Yeah, we're definitely in an exposed position here. If these armies decide to attack us, we'd not win that. So we were able to get the victory here, so we might want to send our army up here if we can get that way. Yeah, it looks like we can get around the fort to make sure that we don't have any issues. I was going to take out these sieging armies. We'll have to go back down there because yeah, I really don't want them to attack us there, which it looks like they might not. Let's see if we can do any royal marriages for her. I think we actually have some characters that we could do royal marriages for. But as I said earlier in the series, I really wish that this could be automated to a degree. Because yeah, it's you know, it's a lot of micromanagement when it comes to the marriages. Denmark decided not to join the conflict. The French, I think, requested them to using the request war entry. They decided not to join. So we don't have the highest morale here, but I suppose they don't either, and we have almost twice their numbers. So you know what, let's go and attack them, and we'll get to engage the French in a battle again. And then there's this 18,000 men over here that we're going to have to deal with as well. But it looks like we should be able to get that siege completed. So we only lost 1,100, killed 6,200 of theirs, so that worked out pretty darn well. And yeah, I guess we'll go and attack them. We might want to just wait until our morale gets back up, and then maybe to the end of the month, so we'll replace some of the losses to our regular troops. And we actually just finished up this siege. All right, fantastic. So let's go and refill the garrison, and then what I think we're going to do is have both of these armies attack at the same time in order to make sure we outnumber them as much as possible. So we'll make sure that the Royal Army attacks first, so they'll get there on the 6th of April at noon. Let's see when they would get there. I assume they'd get there faster, so yeah, we want to let them wait a little bit before we do our attack, because yeah, they're not as far away here. All right, so yeah, we'll have them both do that attack, and it looks like Castile just attacked us, and they have a bunch of light ships. That's interesting. So the light ships are decent. Can't compare it to our heavy ships, obviously. But yeah, they attempted to attack us there. Probably did a bit of damage. Yeah, they did. All right, so let's go and send the fleet home. We might separate the damaged ones. But yeah, Flanders fully occupied now, so we don't have to worry about them anymore. We've gotten this siege done. The sieges over here done as well. So things are going pretty well in the conflict. So once this battle is done here, we killed 56, almost 5,700 men there, losing less than 1,000 ourselves, and maybe they'll be willing to do peace? No, they're actually further away from it. All right, well, that's interesting. Of course, we could offer them tribute, but they're not willing to accept that. So unfortunately, we do need to end today's episode here, but before we do that, let's go ahead and promote our character Richard to the head of the cabinet, because our crown power had actually declined a lot, down to 29%. So it should go back up to 31, 32%, something like that. And we also got our first trait, ruler trait for Richard II, and that's careful. So this will result in us getting less antagonism. So pretty helpful for these conflicts, for the treaties. However, it also increases our decentralization. So it does have a negative associated with it. The war is going very well so far. 50,000 to 70,000. We've already killed 71,000 of their troops. Killed a lot of ships as well, though our side has lost quite a few too. Their war enthusiasm's pretty low. We'll just sort this by troop numbers. I mean, most of those troops are actually Castile. Like half of the troops are theirs. So you push them out of the conflict, and then France is in a lot of trouble. And it shouldn't take much longer to get them defeated. And again, I think we should be ending the 100 Years' War once we do this treaty. You may have noticed that I was building a bunch of masons in order to try and decrease the cost of masonry, and hope that we can get those crown power buildings for a little bit cheaper. We might also want to work on glass, bringing that price down. I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Do hope to see you on the next one, and thanks for watching.